Hi guys, I am finally doing this. I'm sorry it's taken me so long. I'm just going to not organize myself too much. I'm just gonna speak freely about whatever comes to mind. So I sent you the cadences the other day, and I'll go through how to approach those. First I want to say that this seems absurdly basic, but I believe that everything that we do in music comes down to refining the basics. And these cadences are like some of the most basic things we can do. So, the first category, closed position cadences. There are three positions: octave position, meaning the root, the octave is in the soprano. I'm in C major here. The third position, meaning the third's in the soprano, and then the fifth position, meaning the fifth is in the soprano. So these are four-part chords, and you're practicing not only 1-4-5-1, but also practicing the voice leading. So you're thinking and keeping track of where the bass, tenor, alto, soprano are at all times. And while you're doing all of this, you're always thinking from the bottom, thinking from the bass. So if we have 1-4-5-1, we have 1-3-5-1. I'm not talking about Roman numerals now. I'm just talking about the ciphon, the figured bass numbers. And they're all 5-3 position, right? 3-5-1, 1-3-5, 1-5-1-3, 1-3-5-1. So these are the things you're thinking about as you go through. And it's very easy, especially if you're right-handed, and as a pianist, you're always thinking about singing out on the top. That kind of thing. So it's easy to put your concentration into the uppermost part, into the soprano, into your right hand pinky usually. And really your mind and your ear should be down in the bass. So you're thinking 1, and now I'm talking in Roman numerals, 4, 5, 1. And as you do that, you're going up through those figured bass numbers, as I did a moment ago. 1-3-5-1, 1-1-3-5, 1-5-1-3, 3-5-1, etc., etc. You don't always have to be thinking about this, but I'm just saying these ideas because just doing the most basic cadence like that, there are a million ways of doing it and a million ways of thinking about it. So that's that. And you want to be able to, even though it's so basic, and you guys can do that in any of the major and minor keys, if you're like me, you're more fluent in some keys than other keys. And that's why this is so important. So let's say you decide to take closed position cadences at the octave position, and you're going to do that in all the major and minor keys. So you have basically two ways of going about that. You can do it chromatically, going up or down chromatically, etc. Or you can go by a circle of fifths, either up the circle of fifths or down the circle of fifths. Now I'm going down the circle of fifths, so I'm in F. Down the circle of fifths, another fifth, so now I'm in B flat. Or you can go starting at C major again, going up the circle of fifths. G, D, etc., etc. And you can mix and match. You can come up with your own way of doing it. So you're doing the octave position, the third position, the fifth position, and you can go up and down the circle of fifths also with the minor chords, the minor keys as well. You can do the octave, third, and fifth position, and then go to the next key. Oops, sorry. And now let's see, I decided to go chromatically, so now C sharp minor. that's what we're going chromatically. And I'm actually going too fast right now. What I would encourage you to do is to do it super slowly so that you're not just pressing the buttons on the piano here, so that you're actually thinking about all of the things that one can think about as you do this. You're thinking about the Roman numerals, you're thinking about the intervals, and you can, it's not also just about playing it on the piano. That is kind of the test, whether the mind and the ear work, whether it comes out correctly on the piano. The important thing is that the mind and the ear work. So that means going slowly and thinking about all these things all at once. And lest this seem like a really absurdly basic exercise, I like to do it super slowly, and it feels kind of like a meditation, like you're going inside of music for the duration of you're doing it. So to demonstrate, let's say I'm going to do major keys, and instead of starting at, I'll start at C major, okay? In between, I'm thinking of the new key, and I'm establishing that key as a language, as a set of cards, before I go to the next one. A major, E major, B major, F sharp major, C sharp major or D flat major, A flat, E flat, B flat, F, and then you're back to C. And as you go through that, you can, it's really a meditative thing. When I said a set of cards, I forget who mentioned this, but I think it's very often helpful in all kinds of music, from Baroque to Second Viennese School, to be thinking of a key, whether it's a diatonic key or something super chromatic like in Mahler or Schoenberg, as a set of cards. So C major, obviously you have 7 cards, and they're the 7 white notes. And then to go from C major to G major, you take out the F and you add an F sharp. So now your set of cards are these 7 notes. That's another thing to think about as you go along through these. Yes. And then after the closed position cadences, in the thing that I wrote out for you guys, there's the wide position cadences. Weiterlage is what it's called in German. So that's the same thing, 1 4 5 1, but you're using like more of a choral voicing. On the 5 here, the bass and tenor are doubled, so that's actually a double. And then the 3rd position, and then the 5th position. And again, this seems so silly and basic, but for me anyway, it's a constant challenge to keep track of where this is going. So from this chord to 4, we've got 1 5 3 1, and then we go here with the most elegant simple voice leading. We have 1 3 1 5. And then for the 5 chord, you've got 5 1 5 1 1 5 3 1 5 3 1. And you can be thinking about these things as you go along. And I guarantee you, I mean, maybe you guys are better at this than I am, but I guarantee you that when you start going into all the different other keys, at some point you're gonna discover a like I just did. You're gonna discover some element in your thinking that's not fluent. Maybe you can do this all hands tied behind your back in C major, but perhaps it's not so fluent as it just wasn't for me in A flat major. Or like the tricky keys, always, the keys with 5 sharps or flats, and the keys that you can think of in 2 different ways, like F sharp major or G flat, major. So yeah, same thing here. 3rd position. There was C major, the 3 positions in the wide position cadences. Now I think I'm going to go, I'm just mixing this up. I'm going to now, I did C major, I'm going to now do C minor. It feels meditative as I do this. I'm going to choose now to go up the circle of fifths. So now I'm going to do G major. I was kind of playing around with the position. You want to keep it within like this kind of general area where a choir would be singing. That was G major, now G minor. Resist the urge, like I am doing, to go fast. You want to really take the time you need for the brain and the mind and the ear to process everything. I'm going too fast at the moment. So yeah, do that and discover and experiment and find new ways of doing each one of them. And you see like, okay, I'll go back to C major because everything's easier to think of in C major. So in this octave position, in the wide position, like if I'm thinking about the alto voice, for example, in this case, the alto is going from 3rd to root to 5th to 3rd. These are the kinds of things you can think about. And becoming fluent in all the different keys is not making music, it's just learning fluency in the same way that we practice verb conjugations, so that when we are speaking a language or we are making actual music, the basic elements of the language, in this case the musical language, are fluent. So we never have to say, I are going to the store. No, we automatically say, I am going to the store, because we don't need to think about that. It's fluent in our mind. It's a part of the language that we automatically know. We never have to say, I am, or I are. We is, you would never say that. So we're achieving fluency here. Okay, so then the next thing I put is the deceptive cadence. And you could do this in wide position, but that's going just a bit too far. It's not necessary. So the deceptive cadence, as you can see in the sheet that I wrote for you. And then we go to 6. And then we go to 2, 6, 5. And then we go to 5, 1. Okay, so let me explain this. 1, 4, 5. Now, if you go from 5 to 6, you have got a bunch of parallels. So whenever you go from 5 to 6, you have to double the 3rd in the 6. So you can see I've gone from 5, the soprano and the bass and soprano go up, the tenor and alto, they go down, which results in a doubling of the 3rd in the 6th chord. Okay, let me do that again. And then you could do 4, 5, 1, but I added 2, 6, 5 because that's just a one more thing you can practice. And then once you've done it, you know your 2-6-5 in all major and minor keys. 6, 2-6-5, 5-1. The Germans call the 2-6-5, they don't call it a 2-6-5, they call it sechste ajoute. So that means that it's a 4 with an added 6. They use the French sechste ajoute. I don't know why. And that's a nice way to think about 2-6-5, because it's just 4 plus this. So, yeah. So we're back to our deceptive cadence. 6, 2-6-5, 5-1. One more thing I'd encourage you to think about as you go from the 5 to 6, and this is so useful. Anytime we see in a score we're playing or conducting or whatever, you can see a 5 to 6 and see it as a 5 to 6, as nothing more than that. But there's a huge emotional component. We say it's deceptive, and that term has become meaningless to us because we're used to it so well, but so much. But feeling the 5, not going here, but going to here is a really emotional thing. Every single time it happens in music, especially in Baroque and classical music, it's something very special. Even though it's common, it's special. And as you practice the cadences, you can feel it. You can feel the disappointment or the poignancy of going to 6. Yeah. There's no difference in the voice leading with the minor. Sechste ajoute, 5-1. Feel free to use rubato to emphasize the expressiveness of the different Stufen. Germans call the Roman numerals Stufen. So from 5 to 6, it has an expressive thing to it. And each of the chord qualities, 1, 4, 5, 6, 2, 6, 5, 5, 1, they all have something expressive to them, which makes the meditative aspect of practicing these cadences, I don't know, makes it peaceful, makes it meditative. So these are the ones that I wrote out for you. There are further cadences. Let's see, it's what I learned to be called a Diskanschlüssel cadence. So it's in a chorale where you come to a cadence and the melody goes da 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 3 2 1. Something like that. I wouldn't say this is as important as the ones that I wrote out. There's also what's called a Tenorschlüssel. Let's see. Forget about that. Then there's the Sechste ajoute Schlüssel, which I've incorporated into the deceptive cadence here. You've got the 2-6-5. Then there's the Phrygian cadence, which is always super helpful. It's where you're in, I think anyway, if I understand this correctly, it's when you are in a major key and you want to land, you hear it in Baroque music all the time, it's where you want to land on the 5 of the median, of the relative minor. So if we're in C major, we want to go to the relative minor of C major, which is A minor, and we want to go to the 5 of that. We can very easily, we can go to 2-6-5 of C major, and then resolve in this way to 5 of the relative minor. You hear that all the time. I can think about it in Schumann, the Fourth Symphony. Sameer, you're doing that coming up, right? There are dominant chords you can practice, like ninth chords, like Rheingold. You hear that all the time. And then there are inversions of that. Then there's a 13th chord that you can practice. This is you want to do it in 4 voices. So you've got the root, 7, the third, 7th, the third, and then the 13. And you hear that all the time in 19th century music as well. Oftentimes it goes, you hear that, or it skips this step. The next thing there is, which is hard to explain here, is different ways of modulating, and there are ways you can practice that. And then the thing that I want to share with you guys is also, and I'll scan this, Generalbass Chorale, figured bass chorales. So here's this one. I'll scan this to you. And so these are wonderful examples. I tried to choose the best ones I could that give you the text, they give you the outer voices, and then they give you the figured bass numbers. And then you fill in the rest with good voice leading, which you should be able to do if you have mastered the cadences. Every once in a while, there's a question mark, but a common mistake is going from 5 to 6, and you have a parallel in there. You want to always make sure of that. And then there are occasionally multiple solutions to what the voice leading can be. I didn't do that very well. See, I left out a third there. It'd be more helpful if you could see the one I'm playing. It's this Gen Himmel aufgefahren ist. And I mean, it's 2 lines of music. It's from 1628. It's super, super simple. It's sight readable by any 10-year-old who's taken a couple years of piano lessons, the 2 outer voices anyway. But I like practicing this because here I'm thinking about the different Stufen, the different, just not just Roman numerals, I don't know how to say it in English, the Stufen, 1, 4, and then here's the D, but there's a 6 underneath it, so it's actually 7 in first inversion. Then the next chord gives me this, but there's a 6 underneath it so that I know that this is the chord. So I would go to this voicing. We want to keep it generally in 4 voices, but here I'm going to 3 voices, and then I go back here to 4 voices. So as I play that relatively simple line of music, I'm thinking 1, 4, 7, 6, 1, 1, 5, 6, 1. Let's see, this would be 7, 6 of 5, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5, 6, 1. And I don't know, I hope this doesn't seem absurdly, stupidly basic to you, but for me it's so exciting to do this because in something so simple, there's so much to think about all the time. When you do these chorales, like I said, they're usually easy, and easy in terms of pressing the right notes on the piano. They're beautifully complex in terms of their musical richness. And you can find many different ways of practicing them. including transposing. So let's see. An easy transposition would be to go up a half step. So going to C major, C sharp major. And so that's quite easy because I'm looking at the page and I'm thinking about the different Stufen, but it's quite easy because I'm just imagining sharps in front of all the notes, and it's going from C major to C sharp major. Kind of like in the C sharp major prelude and fugue from the first book of the Well-Tempered Clavier, he surely wrote that in C major and then just added all the sharps. Let's see. Yeah, so I've got a whole bunch of these chorales, which I'll send you. And then I've got this Hermann Keller thorough bass method. And I chose what I thought were the easiest, or not easiest, the most worthwhile things to practice from this book. Including the Schemelli Gesangbuch. And so I'll scan these and send them to you. And oh, this one is so beautiful. This is the last one that I copied. Bist du bei mir, geh ich mit Freude. Okay, so let me play this two voices. Bei mir geh ich mit Freunden. In this particular example, Schemelli gives us the outer voices, but in this case, as was very often the case, there's no figures. You're assumed to see the two voices and to know the figures yourself. So let's see what I come up with. So E flat major, 1, 6, 2, 5, 5, 4, 2, and then what do we have here? So from 4, 2, 4, 2 always has to resolve to 6. So if I'm going by mir, I have to go to 6. I would go to this voicing. Let's see, how would I do that? I think so. I'm going to F minor, which is 2 of E flat. And then here, I'm just going to go to 2, 4, 2. And then we've got, these are the outer voices, so it's got to be a 5 of some kind. B flat 7, 5 of E flat. So I'm going to choose this voicing because we've got the 3rd and the 7th, and we need the root and the 5th. And then since the bass now goes from the 3rd to the root of 5, I'm going to take this and go up here. Or I can add here in the tenor, I can add a passing tone. So those 4 bars. So that's that. I just think that it's such a great way to stretch the mind and the ear. Yeah, sorry. So this is 2 of E. I'm trying this in E major. So that, again, that's up a half step is not a huge transposition. It's fairly easy to think about. You can use the visual aid, but I'm still trying to think about the Stufens. 2, 5, 5, 4, 2, 1, 6, 2, 2, 4, 2, 5, 6, 5, 5, 7, one as you go along. I'm not going to make myself do it into farther transpositions because I don't want to embarrass myself. But that's the idea. Okay, so there you go. Sorry it took me so long to get this to you, but work on this for a couple of years and get back to me.